Sarah here, and I remember a time not long ago when my Sundays were dictated by scriptures, my beliefs by dogma, and my spiritual world felt incredibly small. Every prayer was structured, every doubt suppressed. Then something shifted. For Izzy, it was the quiet pull towards her ancestors. For me, it was the undeniable call of intuition, gilded, guiding, guiding me away from the familiar and into the unknown. We both ended up in places we never expected, trading hymns for hexes and sermons for spirit work.
Welcome to Just Another Statistic, hosted by Sarah and Izzy. This is where we lay bare our deconstruction from Christianity and our vibrant, sometimes challenging transition into witchcraft and personal spirituality. We're here to share the blueprint of our spiritual rebuilding, one honest conversation at a time. Whether you're someone who diligently attended church for decades or you've always felt a magnetic pull towards something other, this podcast is for you. We'll explore the hows and whys of our journey, discussing everything from finding new community to understanding ancient practices and navigating family dynamics. Our goal is to connect through our stories. Acknowledge that while our paths are unique, the quest for authentic spirituality is a universal human experience. Join us as we explore the rich tapestry of spirituality beyond the statistics.
Before we begin, we want to share a brief but important note. To protect the privacy and identities of everyone involved, we will not be using the real names of people or churches in our stories. We also want to acknowledge that every story has at least two sides, and what you're about to hear is simply our story, sharing our experiences from our unique perspective. We've dedicated a lot of time to healing from these experiences and will continue this journey. And we sincerely wish nothing but love and light for all the individuals whose paths have intersected with ours. All right.
So today we're going to talk about how God's voice never got quieter for us. I think Christianity has a tendency to frame things of like, when you leave, like you're going to be cut off. And that did not happen for either of us.
Not at all.
So, I think for me, really like that what had happened was like, I always had a feeling of who God was inside of me and what that voice of love and truth was telling me. And I felt so out of alignment in church because I looked around at the people there and I was like, this isn't who I feel God is at all. Mm-hmm. And then when we left Christianity, it was just like that voice was finally in alignment with my reality.
Yeah. We weren't. I feel like when we were inside Christianity, we were forcing how we lived to align with what they wanted to, even though there was many doubts, questions, and just the call to be our authentic selves was being suppressed super hard because it didn't align with what they were teaching us was truth.
Well, and it's almost like it's not even, because like, again, if I look at the New Testament and I read just Jesus's teachings, just Jesus's sermons, I'm like, yes, I agree with this. Yes, I can get on board with this. Mm-hmm. It's almost like their way of manipulating my thinking to be like theirs, or they're manipulating my experience to be what they wanted so they can more easily control me. And it was like, again, like I knew who I felt God was inside of me, but Christianity was constantly telling me my brain's lying to myself. My intuition is wrong.
Your heart is evil.
Yeah, my heart is evil. Like, I am inherently a sinful person, therefore I cannot trust anything that's coming from me.
Mm-hmm. Which is so contradictory, because we're supposedly beautifully and wonderfully made in the image of God.
Yeah.
But yet
he dwells within us,
but we can't trust ourselves.
Yeah. And it was just really anything that challenged their ability to control me and others easier. That's what got twisted.
Yeah. And this isn't just our experience. This is many people's experiences, but historically, you can see the shifts happen inside Christianity.
I'm gonna write a note. Sorry.
I was like, that's why I have it there. But it was you can see where the Bible the translations, the different translations happen, and when certain verses are taken out or other verses are merged together, and the wording is shifted just enough so that it fits the narrative of the person or the people, usually it's a group of people, and what they want to be taught inside Christianity. Also, going back to it, talking about, in America, the slave trade, slaves had their own Bible. And where they took out all the things about freedom and being your own person,
and emphasized verses like slaves, obey your masters, and things like that.
Yeah. But if I remember correctly, the slave Bible is literally half the amount of the quote unquote standard Bible that is or was at that time. So
yeah, there's that rebellion. I talked to your mom about it, and it was the one she got upset about me about mentioning. I can't remember his name. I would have to go back through my notes and find it. But the biggest slave coup that ever happened was this young slave boy became a pastor. He was preaching to his fellow slaves, and then the rich white men were like, oh, let's bring him, send him around and have him preach to everybody and really hit home on the slaves obey your masters, your reality isn't that bad, and all of this stuff. And he felt that he was a prophet of God and that he had a vision from God, and it told him to rebel. And they killed everyone. They killed women, they killed children. And I think the idea was if we let anybody live, they're going to tell somebody and they're going to come after us. So, and obviously the history is twisted because the only actual record that we have of him telling this story is to a white lawyer right before he gets lynched. But it's just even going back that far, you can see how, one person's interpretation of God fights everybody else's interpretation of God or the masses. And organized religion is the easiest tool of control. Emperor Constantine figured that out, and that's why he converted Rome to Christianity, because he said, I can manipulate people with this. And Christianity so hits home this idea of having a personal relationship with God, but really not really. Have a personal relationship, but only if you follow the rules that I think you should follow.
Right. Talk the way we want you to talk. Look at the way we want you to look. Date the people we want you to date. Get married. Have babies.
Yeah. And if you ask the wrong questions, then we're going to tell you that you're going down a bad path
and that you're sinning.
Yeah.
Not just you're going down a bad path, but it's like your doubts and your fears are against God, and you are sinning for asking me these questions, even though there's a whole book about doubts in the Old Testament. So
well, and not like even within Christianity, it's so crazy because like I studied theology in Christianity. I went to classes, I did sermons, all of this stuff, which for those of you who don't know what theology is kind of like the practice of learning how to argue Christianity to specifically atheists, but like anybody that doesn't come from Christianity. And I remember a few people telling me that I shouldn't be exploring that too much because it meant that I was doubting God and I needed God to be proven to me. And I remember being like, what are you talking about? Like I'm doing this because as young college kids, where do they send us? They send us onto college campuses to corner all of the science students and be like, evolution isn't real, guys. And then be able to actually argue that, you know, because these college kids are going to college being shown evidence, being given math equations that prove their worldview. You know, and so we can't just go in there with our Bibles and, you know, even though that's what most Christians do, is it's all circular reasoning of being like, well, the Bible says. So yeah.
So this is our experience coming out of religion, coming out of it, and kind of where we ended up from after deconstructing and figuring out what we actually believed and what we didn't.
Which is still an ongoing process.
For sure. It's been, what, 3 years, and we're still...
It's been more than 3.
Well, I mean, since we left.
Yeah.
It's been 3? It's been 3.
It's 2021, bro.
Dang it.
So...
It's been more than 3 years.
We're going on our 5th year now.
That's crazy.
Yes.
So we just, wow. Okay. So I've been thinking we've been not gone. Oh, it's been a little 3 years. No, it's been a lot longer than that.
It's been, you haven't talked to your dad in 3 years.
That's that. Okay, there it is. There's the 3 years.
Her timeline was getting fuzzy. It's okay.
I'm getting old.
Yeah, it happens to old people. Yeah. Yeah, and I wouldn't say like we were both like deeply spiritual people. I don't think like, because a lot of people deconstruct from Christianity and they go into atheism, and I don't think that would have felt natural for either of us because we do have such strong intuitions and such a pull to the other and the spiritual world that I think if we just went into atheism, it would be like fighting our nature.
Yeah, because at least from my understanding, atheism, they don't believe there is a God at all.
Yeah.
Like
they don't, anything that's spiritual, they don't.
And I just have way too many experiences, anecdotes, and seen too many things of the spirit realm and like things that we don't really understand, that I couldn't, like, I would be lying to myself if I was like, I'm an atheist now. I never went there. So
how did our understanding of God transform after leaving our former faith?
In my mind, he got bigger.
Yeah.
Like Christianity put God, or as I refer to now, the universe, in a box.
Yeah.
And it was like very rigid.
Mm-hmm.
He is all knowing, all powerful, all this and all that. But yet, if anything happened that was not explainable inside the Christian faith, it was
God works in mysterious ways.
it was even that, it was more like, oh, that's evil.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that's, you shouldn't do, like, explore that because that's evil. And so I feel like when we finally stepped out of Christianity, that box burned. It shattered.
Yeah.
I think it shattered in a lot of pieces. And so God to me became very expansive.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you talk about all knowing, all seeing, all, all these things, the big words, the 50-cent words, that became true
Mm-hmm.
for me, and real. And I was like, oh. And like the idea of having a personal relationship with God or universe, whatever you want to call it, spirit, source, became even deeper.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was like I was getting all this information, but because I was told I couldn't trust my intuition, trust my mind, trust my heart, there was a disconnect in the plug.
Yeah.
And so I wasn't able to assimilate
it was
that
like
stuff.
You're given a USB when you have a
C-port.
Yeah.
And so there was just, I have the information, but it wasn't connecting.
Yeah.
And I think that when we left, that connection started to form and become real.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I agree. I think for me, because I was already kind of challenging the concept of God being a man. So I remember discussing that with my Christian mentor and being like, I don't think God has a gender. That would be really weird if God had a gender. And being like, and even if he does, like, who cares?
mm-hmm.
And so, like, when we stepped out of that, it was like these beliefs that I was told that I had to have, those all kind of went away. And it expanded this room for exploring.
We're a little tired, guys.
Yes. Exploring questions that I really wanted to ask, but I hadn't been allowed to ask.
Mm-hmm.
It started like with little things, right? Like when we really started getting into spirituality and learning like the power of manifestations and the power of speaking out loud, I was like, oh, it sounds a lot like prayer. And little things that we do, setting up a Yule tree at Christmas time and putting a pentagram on the top of it. And blowing out candles at your birthday. It started with like little things that I started discovering had these origins, way back into paganism, and seeing just how much magic was around me
mm-hmm.
in the world. And then being like, God isn't this thing that I'm trying to reach for, this, because in Christianity it always felt like it was this thing that I was trying to grab, but it was always just out of my reach, and no matter what I did, it would always just be out of my reach. And then, like, hopefully when you die, you go to heaven, then you can reach it. I don't know how there's not more suicide in Christianity, other than they tell you that that's a sin too. Because really, if you think about it, your ultimate goal as a Christian is to die, because you can't succeed at doing anything in life. And when I switched, it was just like the universe, God, the universe is all around me.
Mm-hmm.
It's already in me. It is me. But it's not me. it is that flower, but it's not that flower. It is the sky, but it's not the sky. And it just brought this piece of I'm no longer running a race that I'm doomed to fail. So for me, it was just like,
Mm-hmm.
is what it felt like. It felt like
You could actually breathe.
yeah, like I had a giant rock on my chest my whole life, and that boulder was finally gone. And now I actually had the room to grow and breathe. And I mean, that has been extremely painful at times. True growth and true change and true working on yourself sucks. But in that suckiness, there's never failure. It's just, it is what it is. You know, you go through these waves of life where it's good and it's bad. But in Christianity, it was just like, if it's bad, then it's you fucked up somehow and you need to figure that out, and you need to figure that out fast, because who knows, you could get in a car accident tomorrow and die, and then you're fucked.
Yeah.
You know, you're in hell for eternity.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't like this scary boogeyman behind me waiting for me to stop running long enough that it could choke me out, you know? So that's how I felt.
Yeah. Yeah. That was
a lot of words on it. I'm sorry.
But it was accurate and it was true. So yeah.
Can you describe a specific moment or experience where you felt God's presence more strongly after leaving Christianity?
I have a couple. So after we left, we went on a little New Year's retreat. I think that was our first year out. It was New Year's, and we were like, let's go to the hot springs. So
yes.
So we went to the hot springs, and it was Hamas, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Hamas. And there's this little it was the Airbnb, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was this little Airbnb. It was
or like a bread and breakfast
type little place, right? So we her former employer paid for it, a room, and it was a really cute little place, and it was like 5 minutes from the springs.
Not even, it was like we could walk there.
Yeah, it was like boop, walk across the street, you're there. And so we went to the hot springs, and we spent New Year's there, and we did a photo shoot. And like in that time, just relaxing in the springs, like we went one day and it was snowing, and sitting in the snow in the springs and just feeling like nature around you. That was one moment. But during all that, also during that time, we did that photo shoot. And I think that photo shoot, for me at least, I was able to express my creativity in a way that I haven't really been able to explore before.
Yeah.
And it was like, I felt good about it, but it felt like the universe was praising me, like pushing me on, go do more, be creative, push the limits.
Yeah.
And I think that for me, that was a moment of like, oh, this is the good things that they were talking about. Like, this is good.
Yeah. Well, and it was so nice because it was so quiet there. And like one day the power went out in the whole village. So we didn't have connection to the outside world at all. And the photo shoot we did was a boudoir photo shoot. And I feel like that was really the first step in us acknowledging our femininity in a positive way.
Yeah.
Of celebrating being women and not being ashamed of our bodies or viewing our bodies as a sin.
And something that needs to be covered up at all times.
Yeah. And I remember like Sarah Sarah looking at her pictures and being like, oh my God, I'm hot. And I was like, yes, you are. And it was just something that we'd really never been allowed to experience or look at in ourselves without it being like, you're sinning.
Because sexuality, pleasure, any of that was always something you never talked about.
Yeah.
Because it was shameful or sinful, especially if you weren't married.
Yeah. Well, and being born as a female, like your body is a sin. And that's just so confusing and damaging for any young woman, because especially as women, like our bodies are the source of life.
Yep.
And Christianity steals that from us. And so that was really like the beginning of us being like, we are women, we are beautiful, we are sexual, and we're powerful in it. And so that was,
yeah, I think that was one of the, because we were dabbling in like tarot and other things, and I think I was doing a little research in different belief systems, but they were still in the Abrahamic like world, and I was like, I need to get away from that.
Yeah.
And I think that was the start of that, like being able to sit in that power as a woman. I think something clicked.
Yeah.
A door was opened. And so that was like one of the first ones that at least I can remember where I was like, oh, okay, I'm correct in what I was thinking, and leaving this very structured, rigid place was a good thing.
Yeah. I think for me, really, like, I feel like I've always had a very strong intuition, and I've had a very strong intuition towards people. I've always been able to read people really well. Like I kind of explained in the last episode, like I knew that people didn't like me, but they were gonna fake it to my face. And I knew of situations, but again, like Christianity always told me I was lying, or like if I was like, oh, that person doesn't like me, it was like, oh, you're just being really self-centered. So I started doing tarot. When I really started doing like tarot readings, I kind of went into oracle readings a little more in the beginning, just because tarot is a lot harder to memorize. So I still have to look through my book for tarot. But oracle cards, you kind of attach your own meaning to each card, or you use like really easy symbolism. So I've always been very drawn to like plant magic and animals. So I have like an herbal deck and I have like an animal deck. And I started having people pay me for readings. I would go to like little markets and people would pay me. And it was like the first time that I read for a stranger, I was like nervous, because I'm like, am I just going to be BSing my way through this? And when that person teared up and looked at me and said that you're spot on, I was like, I haven't been making this up my whole life. Like, I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm saying. And in that moment, I felt so powerful, and at the same time, so robbed by being so disconnected from my power for so long. So I think that was like the really big moment for me.
Yeah. And I think it just became more natural as we went along. We did our first holiday, like pagan witchy holiday together. That felt correct.
Yeah.
When we did it. And I was like, I don't know where we're going. Where are we going?
Yeah.
But we did it. And it was, I think because we did it, that
we
opened.
Did fall equinox or something like that.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that sounds right. Something like that. That felt right. And I was like, okay, I can understand this. And then we started doing moon rituals
Mm-hmm.
for new moon, full moon, mostly new moon and full moon. And we had one where we had just adopted our little baby
Mm-hmm.
Clove, and we were doing a welcoming spell for her
Mm-hmm.
and bringing her in. And we went outside and we danced under the moon. And it was really nice because our apartment complex had like this little grassy area, and you
Mm-hmm.
could see the moon really, really nicely from there. So we put on some music and we danced under the moon with our little baby kitten in our bundled up with us because it was cold.
Yeah.
And I was just like, and it felt correct.
Yeah.
Again, it was like, this is how we welcome in a new life into our lives. And it was like, this is our little Clove. She's a part of our life for life. And it was like, I don't know, it clicked.
Yeah.
Something clicked. And it was like the expansion. Like I said, everything just expanded so much. So
yeah. How did we feel? How did we deal with the potential judgment or misunderstanding from others with our spiritual shifts or fears?
I feel like I was in the closet for quite a bit. I feel like when we started really leaning into it and like doing holidays and rituals and stuff, we were kind of open about it, talking about it with ourselves.
Yeah.
And I remember you talked to BB.
Yeah.
And he was super understanding and was like, basically it was like, you understand you have to stand before God and be judged for everything you do. Yeah, we understand that. And if we're right or wrong, like, that's on us. And he goes, cool.
Yeah.
And that was it. And I was like, I think that one I was more nervous about because BB is very important to both of us. And if we lost him, I think I would have probably broken, because I was still dealing with losing so many friends that are still in Christianity. And it was like, I felt very lonely. And so like still having him there was good, because I was afraid that like I was just going to be alone. And I think I was afraid that I wasn't going to have community anymore.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think it was like little things. I've been very closeted with it, especially like with my family. But I like, especially like when I started doing like oracle readings, and I was selling oracle readings on the weekends, I started posting it on my social media. And my best friend at the time saw those readings, and like best friend, like I was her maid of honor. Her and her husband, she made her husband with her corner me after, because they played D&D with us, corner me one day after D&D, and was like, she had seen the oracle reading on Instagram. And I mean, like, we had openly been doing stuff before. Like, she had come to, like, it was one of probably our winter solstice dinner, and my magic is in my food. My spells are in my food. So I was always very adamant on telling people, like, hey, like, obviously, like, you're eating food, and whenever somebody makes food for people, it's normally you put like love and kindness, and you care for the people you're feeding. But in witchcraft, it's like you need to express that. So you're not
will.
Yeah, so you're not imposing your will on others. And so I'm always like, hey guys, this is a spell. Like, it's just a love and fill you up and, make you, but it's still a spell. So it wasn't like they were unaware of it, but I think me, for whatever reason, being open about it on social media really got to her. And they cornered me and they were like, do you still consider yourself a Christian? And I was like, no, I don't. And I told them, like, my biggest belief that's changed is hell. I was like, I still believe in Jesus, you know. I still believe in God, maybe not your version of God, but a creator of to some extent. I was like, but my biggest belief is I don't believe in hell. I don't believe that there's a hell. And neither one of them could answer me on why there was a hell. And they left. And then I don't remember if it was the next week or if it was a couple weeks later. She came in early to D&D. I don't know why she drove. She could have texted me this.
It could have been a text message.
Could have been a text message to tell me that, like, we can't be friends anymore, that I was ruining her marriage, that she couldn't condone the evil that I was living and all of this stuff. And so I was like, I was just annoyed. I was like, okay, whatever. Way to prove me right about Christians and Christianity. Like, that's how I felt. I felt like she just proved my point on the kind of people that they were. And left. And I was really confused about the whole ruining her marriage thing. And I had a feeling, because her husband was much more level-headed than her. He wasn't raised in a Christian home like she was. And he was like, he had told her that this wasn't worth losing a friendship over. And her belief was that I was sinful, unequally yoked, that BS. And so they had gotten into issues over that. And he still holds that belief. He still texts me happy birthday. He still, says Merry Christmas and Happy New Year's to me. And she won't talk to me. Like, we had a phone call earlier in the year and we talked and she was like, oh, we'll meet up for dinner. She never texted or called me again. Because I think she just wanted to not feel the responsibility of ruining the friendship. So, if you're watching this, you ruined the friendship. That was you. I am the villain. I don't care anymore. So that, yeah, I was like, whatever, when that happened. And then immediately after that, I had that conversation with BB. I explained to him everything that had happened and told him that I didn't believe in hell. And then he said, well, you realize if you're wrong, you're going to have to answer to God for it. I was like, fine, I can accept that. And he was like, okay, and BB's still the only one who he will have those intellectual, spiritual, he is not afraid to have the conversation with me. And so many other people are. I think another one that really kind of was a slow burn for us was Sugar Cube.
Yeah.
Because after we had left the raft, I'd told Sugar Cube, like, we're really only friends at church. And we fundamentally believe things that you can't accept. So there's really, like, we didn't want to pressure her in trying to maintain a friendship. And she got pissed off that we didn't text her happy birthday because she knew she could always count on the two of us to text her happy birthday. Which, again, what does that tell you about your Christian friends? And we both really tried to maintain that friendship after that for a while.
Mm-hmm. Couple of years.
Yeah.
Actually,
up
until last year.
Yeah. And it just wasn't reciprocated at all.
It felt like we were, what's the word I'm looking for? We were tolerated.
Yeah. Well,
it wasn't let me do life with you still. And let me, like, it wasn't like BB's reaction where she sees BB almost weekly. I want to get back to that. I miss
just because we had to pause D&D.
Yeah, we had to pause D&D, so I don't get to see BB anymore. But
we also know, like, she knows if she needs him, she could text him. He's there. Yeah. If I need him, I can text him. He is there. That's,
even if he hasn't slept.
Yeah.
Like,
Even better.
Yeah.
He'll take a shot of coffee and a shot of whiskey, and he'll be there.
You'll be good.
Got
excited.
Yeah. And especially with Sugar Cube, I miscarried at the beginning of last year, and I called her to tell her, and we went and got coffee, and I just felt judged the whole time we were sitting there talking, that I had gotten pregnant out of wedlock, that I had lost it. I just felt judged the whole time. And like, I remember leaving that and being like, that didn't feel good at all. And I think it took me a couple of weeks, but I eventually like texted her and I was like, I think I'm done with Sugar Cube. I don't think I want to reach out. I don't think I want to try anymore because it's just fake at this point. There was no like sympathy for what I was going through or the grief I was experiencing. It was just like, and then like if I think about it, like in Christianity, she probably thinks that I deserve it, you know? And so I was just like, I don't want to be around that anymore. So
yeah. Well, it was also like, before that happened, like we would make
Pike is speaking.
We would make plans, right? Or try to make plans. And then the day of the plans come up and it was, oh, well, my friends from out of town are here, so I'm going to go hang out with them. Or
my other friends want to go play volleyball. The friends that I see 3 times a week want to play volleyball.
They want to go play volleyball. So, and we're like, we try to make plans to continue this relationship, and every time something happens. And so it got to the point where it was just, we are no longer on the same level. Which is fine.
That's what we said in the first place. Like, that's what we said to her in the first place. Like,
yeah.
You know, it's just, I think it hurt that she was like, oh, I value your friendship so much. I don't want to lose you. And then did nothing.
Yeah.
Well, you know, her actions didn't match her words.
Yes. Because she wasn't as visceral to you as she was to me when we first left. Like, it was a couple of months before I did like a mass media purge. So anybody associated with the raft, almost everybody associated with the raft or Megachurch number 2 was wiped off my media and social media. I didn't block them. They were just removed. I didn't block anybody. You were just removed. So if you had my phone number, you could have still reached out. And it was after her birthday and like realizing that we weren't at church anymore. She texted both of us separately and she came in hot at me. And I had to take a couple of days before I responded because I was about, Izzy can attest to this, I was about to go off.
Yeah.
I was so mad. And then like you went and talked to her and basically laid everything out and was like, look, I can't speak for Sarah, but this is what I'm saying. And then I eventually went and got coffee with her. And I was like, look, I was in survival mode. You don't know this, but I was involved in a robbery. I had a gun in my face. So, and then all this stuff at the raft happened with the White Knight. And we know something was said.
Well, and then she admitted, she was like, he went around telling everybody that you came on to him. And it was like, and yet you knew the truth. All of you knew the truth.
But you said nothing.
You knew the truth. And you chose to not say anything, to not stop it.
Yeah. So if any of you are listening, it's your fault. You're the reason we don't talk anymore.
Yeah.
And no ill will against those people. It's just
I just don't want to be friends with people who think I deserve to be tortured for eternity.
yeah. And I'm just like, it was really hard because I lost a whole community. I thought that was there for me forever.
Yeah.
And
Well, and it was like this year or last year, we got to around her birthday and both of us were holding our breaths waiting for how come nobody texted me on my birthday message again,
or even hey, it's my birthday, let's go hang out or something.
Yeah. But nothing came, so
I think the message has been received.
Yeah, I think she finally realized that she couldn't condone our belief systems, which it's sad, but it is what it is, you know. So okay, I have one last question I want to get to before we finish today. What experience, what thing happened that proved magic was real to you?
Oof. So that one's a hard one because there's not like one big thing. I think it was always those little things. You know, did a card pull, and then the very thing the card said was going to happen happened. I think the one that came to mind, I did a reading for your sister. And
my sister always got the same cards.
And I was like, okay, I usually don't read for other people. I read for myself. I don't read for other people like that. I just never felt comfortable to it. And that's probably a trust issue in my intuition that I need to throw out the window. But I was just shuffled and I was like, all right, let's bring it. And I could feel the energy coming up, and I started pulling out the cards, and I'm like, dude, you need to start working, because the cards are saying if you do not start doing the work is going to be done for you. That's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I didn't say it, the cards did.
Yeah. I think the big thing for me was cord cuttings.
Oh yeah.
Because I was dating a guy loosely, and he, after 5 months of pretty much being in a relationship, told me that we weren't in a relationship and he didn't want to be in a relationship. And I was hurt, and I shouldn't have done it then, but I did a cord cutting because I didn't know how powerful they were, and never thought about him again, ever wanted to be in a relationship again. I mean, we've talked and hung out once since then, but I mean, like, it's like a physical effort for me to text him. Like it's like a weird thing that I'm like, I'm struggling to do this.
That's the universe going, no, you cut ties.
Yeah.
You're not doing it.
And I've done a cord cutting with my sister. Me and my sister were best friends, and I had to cord cut that relationship, and that all went away, you know. The grief of not having her went away. And the most recent one was I cord cut my parents right before Christmas, and called my mom like 2 weeks ago. That woman did not want to speak to me at all. And that woman always word vomits anything and everything she can to me. I have always been her emotional support child. And to sit there on the phone and for her to be silent was so strange, but it just proves the power to me that this is real.
Oh, I got one. Because this was early on in our journey, but I'm very big into crystals. Like, I love, give me my rocks. And it was right before I went no contact with my father. And I literally was having like a panic attack and just had all this emotion in me. She was like, I was going to give this to you on your birthday, and she plops down a floor in my hand. And within like 2 minutes, I went from blubbering to a little bit more collected. Like it was a switch. I went from blubbering and I went, oh, okay, I'm all right. And like I was able to like center, and then that rock got so hot. Like it was so hot because I believe it absorbed so much of that energy and just distress that I was going through, that we had to put it in water because it was physically burning me. Like it was so hot. And I was like, that's real.
Yeah.
That's magic. That's energy. That was real. Mm-hmm. And in a moment of my most desperate need, this rock that was given to me from somebody that out of love literally helped me get out of this pit. And I was just like,
yeah,
this is real.
Yeah. So
yeah. Thank you for tuning in to Just Another Statistic. Each episode, we aim to explore the profound shifts that occur when we bravely step away from inherent beliefs and embrace new spiritual awakenings. This path from Christianity to witchcraft and spirituality is one of constant evolution, marked by unique turning points and deeply felt emotions.
We believe that every deconstructed, every spiritual discovery is a powerful story. Cannot read today. Waiting to be told. If you've been on a similar path or are just beginning to ask the difficult questions, we invite you to share your personal journey with us. Whether it's a specific moment of realization, a challenge you've overcome, or a newfound sense of peace, your story adds vital depth to this conversation. Send us an email at jastatistic@gmail.com or connect with us on social media at Just Another Statistic Podcast on TikTok and Instagram. We're curious about what you're struggling with, what you care about, and how our podcast has inspired you. Your voice matters, and by sharing it, you help build a vibrant community for those who might feel like outliers or just another statistic. Don't forget to follow our podcast to stay with us on this journey. And if this episode brought you value, please share it with someone who needs to hear it.
Bye, guys.